Have you ever stopped to think about how your favorite AI assistant actually works? I mean, one minute you're asking it to write a poem about your cat, and the next it's debugging a piece of code for you. It really truly feels like magic. But behind every great magic trick, there's a secret. And today, we're going to pull back that curtain to reveal the hidden world of flawed code and intense human labor that makes it all possible. All right, so here's the plan. First, we're going to look at the AI magic show itself, all the mind-blowing stuff we see on the surface. Then we're going to peek behind the scenes and see how the sausage is made, looking at the bias that's baked right into the code. From there, we'll meet the hidden human workforce powering these machines. And finally, we'll ask the really big question. Is this system broken, and can we actually fix it?
Okay, let's just admit it. We've all been completely floored by what these new AI models can do. It's just wild. You can ask them to draft an email, help you plan a trip, or even have a surprisingly deep chat at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep. It feels like we've got this super smart, all-knowing buddy right in our pocket, ready to help 24/7.
And what makes these models, these LLMs, so incredibly powerful is their versatility. Seriously, they're not one-trick ponies. They can write, they can translate, they can chat, but they also learn and adapt to brand new problems in a way that is it's mind-boggling. Not long ago, you needed a different specialized system for every single one of these tasks. Now, one model can do it all. It's like it has this general grasp of how the world works, which is both amazing and, as we're about to find out, also kind of scary.
Because here's the twist, right? What if the very thing that makes these AIs so smart, this unbelievable ability to learn from the entire ocean of human knowledge, is also their biggest, most fundamental weakness? What if that's exactly what makes them biased, and maybe even a little dangerous? Let's dive in.
So at its very core, an LLM is a system that's been trained on a truly ridiculous amount of text. We're talking a huge chunk of the internet, blogs, books, news articles, you name it. Its entire purpose, its whole reason for existing, is to get so good at recognizing patterns in human language that it can do one thing perfectly: predict the very next word in a sentence. That's it.
And this, right here, this is the absolute key to understanding the whole problem. These AIs are basically super advanced parrots, not philosophers. They can mimic human language with shocking, sometimes perfect accuracy, but they don't understand one bit of the meaning behind the words. They can't tell the difference between a scientific fact, a simple social custom, and a deeply harmful racist stereotype. To the machine, it is all just data. It's all just a pattern it needs to copy.
Now, check this out. This example makes it all click. An AI scans its data and learns a nurse is a healthcare worker. Okay, yep, that's a fact. It also learns a nurse is likely to wear blue scrubs. Okay, that's a pretty common association. But then it also learns that a nurse is statistically likely to be female. Why? Well, because decades of hiring data, TV shows, and our own societal norms have created that pattern. The AI can't tell the difference between these three statements. It just sees a strong statistical link and spits it back out, reinforcing a harmful stereotype without any concept of the history or the hurt behind it.
And here is the real kicker. As computational linguist Philip Resnick points out, this isn't some bug that coders can just patch up. No, it's a feature. The bias is literally woven into the fabric of these AIs. It's a direct, unavoidable consequence of how they're designed, to just mirror our messy, complicated, and often biased world. And that is a huge, huge problem. So if the bias is baked right into the code itself, how do you even start to fix it? Well, this is where this story takes an even darker turn. Because the so-called fix relies on a hidden army of human workers who are often paid pennies to clean up the AI's toxic mess. And their story, well, it's one of exploitation and very real human suffering.
I mean, just think about it for a second. The internet is full of some really nasty stuff, right? So whose job is it to wade through all of that hate speech, graphic violence, and just horrific content to make sure the AI doesn't learn from the absolute worst of us? Who are these people on the front lines, basically acting as a human filter to protect us and the AI from the darkest corners of the web?
This is what they get paid for it. This was the reported wage for workers in Kenya who were tasked with labeling toxic content to train a major language model. Less than a cup of coffee an hour, for a job that can leave you with serious psychological scars. This is the real human cost of our new AI-powered convenience, and it's a price being paid by some of the most vulnerable people on the planet. And where is all this happening? In the shadows, of course. Big tech companies outsource this digital dirty work to countries like the ones you see here.
These are places where labor is cheap and regulations are weak or non-existent. It's a classic corporate move. Find skilled people who need a job and have few protections, and then profit from that situation. It's happening on a massive scale, and most of us have no idea.
Can you even begin to imagine what that's like? To spend 8 hours a day, every single day, just looking at the most horrific images and reading the most hateful words humans can produce? That is the reality for these workers. And many of them develop severe PTSD. They are the silent, invisible janitors of the digital age, and they are paying a terrible price for it.
Now, exploiting a hidden workforce is one part of the story, but there's another, more subtle way that we, the users, are being manipulated by these systems, and it all comes down to the rules of the game, and how those rules are often rigged against us from the very beginning.
Have you ever actually tried to read the terms of service for an app you use? It's a total nightmare, right? Well, it's the same deal with these AI tools. The rules about what you can and can't say are just a confusing mess, spread out over pages of dense legalese. It's almost impossible to figure out where the line is. And listen, that's not an accident. It feels designed to keep us confused and to give the companies all the power to make whatever decision they want, without any real explanation.
But it gets even sneakier. It's not just the written rules that are rigged against you. The very design of these apps, the buttons, the menus, the pop-ups are often intentionally built to trick you. They use a whole playbook of psychological tricks called deceptive patterns to nudge you into doing things you probably don't want to do, like, say, giving away more of your personal data.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that big, bright, friendly button that says, "Yes, I want an enhanced experience," right next to a tiny, gray, hard-to-read link that says, "Continue with basic features." It's hiding the reject all button somewhere you'll never think to look. It's using confusing language that makes you think you're getting one thing when you're really getting another. It's a game, and it's designed to wear you down until you just click accept.
Okay, so we've seen the big problems, right? The bias baked into the system, the exploitation of workers, the deception of users. It's a pretty grim picture. But is there any hope? Are the companies that built this mess actually trying to clean it up? And more importantly, are their fixes even working?
Well, the main tool companies are using right now has a really fancy name, Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback, or RLHF. But the idea is actually pretty simple. It's basically like training a dog. You have real people rate the AI's answers. If it does something good, gives a helpful, harmless response, it gets a digital treat. If it says something bad or biased, you tell it no. The theory is that over time, the AI learns how to behave properly.
But here's the fundamental issue with that whole approach. As this quote puts it so brilliantly, trying to fix bias this way is like squeezing a balloon. Sure, you can press down on one problem and make it go away, but the pressure just builds up and the problem bulges out somewhere else, often in a new and totally unexpected way. You're not fixing the root cause, you're just playing an endless game of whack-a-mole.
Which brings us all the way back to this. The core problem is still there. As long as the #1 goal of these systems is just to predict human language, they will always be a mirror that reflects our world, flaws and all. Yes, they reflect our genius and our creativity, but they also reflect our ugly biases, our toxicity, and our deep inequalities. And that leaves us with a massive, and honestly a very difficult question. Do we keep trying to put band-aids on a fundamentally broken system, or do we need to go back to the drawing board and start over? Do we want an AI that's simply a reflection of our flawed humanity, or should we be aiming for something better? That choice is ours, but we need to make it soon, because the future of AI is being written as we speak, and every single one of us has a stake in how this story ends.